Okay, now we've had a good look at single oscillator lead sounds, we're going to take a good look at multi-oscillator lead sounds. When using more than one oscillator to create lead sounds, a whole sonic universe of possibilities opens up. There are more than one way to combine sounds other than just mixing the two together. For example, there's all kinds of cross-modulation possibilities, such as oscillator sync, frequency modulation, ring modulation, unison detune, interval tuning, octave tuning, etc. In this particular video, we're going to look at oscillator tuning analog old school style. That's to say that in a later video I'll cover in depth the more modern digital synths implementation of what's now called supersaw type detuning. But first we'll look at how to create thicker sounds using detuning and interval tuning. Okay, without any further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, let's have a look at unison detune then. So as you can see, I have Albino 3 here, set up with 2 saw waves in the same octave, and this is what it sounds like with one of the saw waves. Let's just open that filter. Okay, so if we mix in another saw wave, we get not much difference, just louder. That's because they're both at the same tuning. So let's try. As you can hear, there's a slight phase. Sounds like a phaser, or a flanger, because both of the waves are not exactly in tune, very slightly detuned. So already there's some movement there. If we want to speed that movement up, we could detune it further. So if we look at this fine tune box here, let's take it down a cent, which is 1/100th of a semitone. It's more pronounced now, you can hear. So more movement. Now you can go anywhere from there to really quite extreme. So let's take a quarter of a semitone, say 25-ish cents. So that's 2 oscillators, 1 and 2, with the second one detuned against the first one. It's good to keep one oscillator exactly in tune and then detune the other against it, rather than having 2 oscillators and detuning them both, because then in the first case you'll have at least one of the oscillators will be in tune and give a grounding to the note, to center to the note, so it won't just sound like a out of tune mess when you record it against the rest of the track, unless you want that effect, of course. Now it's best to put this switch on in Albino, which is free run. What that does is it allows the oscillator to just run, and wherever it is in the cycle, when it hears a note on, it will play, which means that the attack won't be consistent. If you have this off, the attack will be consistent every time, because the oscillator starts its cycle on 0, and all of the oscillators will start on 0, so the attacks will be constant, which is something that you want for bass lines, but not for lead sounds necessarily. If we wanted to fatten it further, we could add another oscillator. So let's take this one to -10 cents, turn oscillator 3 on, and call that +10 cents. So now we have 3 oscillators. make that a bit more extreme. So, phatter again. Let's turn the fourth one on just to be completely over the top. And let's call that -20 or whatever. Let's put a sequence on to hear what it sounds like. Bit of delay. So as you can hear, a lot more fatter, more lively than a single oscillator sound. A lot thicker. Not that you always want that, but it's good to know how to make it. Now let's just take these down to hear what it sounds like when it's less detuned. And let's put this one to 5. Let's hear that as the sequence. Tell you what, let's take the mud off the bottom end by filtering out the bottom with a high pass filter. It removes most of the mud. Okay, let's try a bit of groove. Cool. So now let's have a look at Vanguard and see how you do the same kind of unison detune in that synth. Okay, so as you can see I have this sawtooth wave selected and that sounds like this. Oh, I'll just get rid of the delay and the glide. Nothing very exciting. So to select another sawtooth, we go here to the selector box. And you can hear there's a very slight detune already. So how do you detune the second wave against the first? Well, you go here to LFO2, which takes care of the duties for oscillator 2, and then you make sure that speed is on 0, and then you move the detune knob. Oddly enough, if you move it to the right, it goes down, and if you move it to the left, it goes up. It's quite an extreme amount of detune available, up to an octave. So you can actually do intervallic tuning here. There's an octave, and that's a fifth, a fourth, etc. So there we are. Let's find a part to play. Okay, let's get rid of some of the mud. Filter it out. That sounds better. Let's compare that to the single oscillator. And now both. Let's put a bit of glide on that. Bit of delay. That's more extreme. Just for fun, let's use another sawtooth and detune that one. Now let's put a groove in. Try with a high bandpass filter. Let's try a less extreme detune. So that's how you do it in Vanguard. Okay, let's have a look at how we do the same kind of old school oscillator detune in Zebra then. As you can see, I've got one oscillator here, just with a filter module. So it's a saw wave, as you can see by this part here, straight saw wave. Bit of reverb on there just to make it sound not quite so stark. Okay, and how we detune that is just simply old school style, is put another oscillator there, and then you detune one against the other. As you can hear, they're pretty much in tune already, so we'll just detune this one. As you can see here, it goes up to half a semitone, 50 cents. So, incidentally, if you wanted to do more, you just hold down Shift and hit the tune, and if you see up here, it would go to 100 cents and beyond semitones. But we won't want to do that just yet. So that's how you do it in Zebra. Of course, if you wanted to add other oscillators, you could then do the same thing again. And again. Let's try our part. and so on. Just get rid of these oscillators. Now, if you look here, now the equivalent of retrigger on Zebra is this switch here. If I turn 2 oscillators on, and now listen to the attacks with this off, and now with it on. Let me play the part so you get a better idea. And now off. On. There's clearly a big difference. That's how you do the retrig function. The equivalent of the analog drift on Albino is this switch here, analog kind of voice drift, which allows a kind of random detuning. So that's how you do it in Zebra.